Reading to a baby, can it really be that hard? I mean, it's not like they really understand what you're saying or anything, right? So why do you have to think about how you do it? At one point or another, we probably all want children. And even if we don't have the chance to have them in this life, we'll probably interact with them in church or with our families. Now, so far, I only have one daughter, but I've been babysitting since I was 11, and I've read a lot of books to a lot of children. In that time, I've discovered some things that aren't hard, but can really increase everybody's enjoyment. You need to pick the appropriate book, pick a time that works for your babies, and make sure that you pick a way to read that helps them enjoy things. First, you need to pick the right book. The right book will be sturdy, have good pictures, and not too many words. The right book will be sturdy because this is going to be a toy for the baby. It's going to be something they can chew on and play with and flap back and forth. The most common baby books are board books. They're made of thick paper, and they withstand a fair amount of tugging and pulling. Now, if you have a rather rambunctious baby, they can still tear these apart. My brother has 15-month-old twins that have managed to destroy every board book they own so far. But that's okay. It's still their toy. If you don't have board books, there's also books made out of cloth or plastic, and these are really good, especially for young babies, because they withstand all the teething and sucking that little babies like to do on things. So once you have a good book that's good and sturdy, make sure it has appropriate illustrations. In the book Read It, Play It, Stephanie and Joanne Oppenheim recommend that the pictures be mostly photos or easy to identify drawings. This is because your book is going to be a way for your baby to explore the world, and you want them to be able to recognize the things they've seen in books when they see them in real life. They also recommend that if you have books with textures, which are wonderful, that they not be anything the baby can pull off, like a string or a bead. It needs to be just something that they can touch. In the article How to Raise a Reader in Parents Magazine, Kim Ratcliffe reminds us that babies love looking at faces, and so a good place to start would be a little photo album with pictures of people that love your baby that might not be able to see him very often. People like their grandparents or their aunts and uncles. That way when they do meet them, the faces will be a little familiar. When you have appropriate illustrations, make sure that the words are also appropriate. There shouldn't be too much plot. Really young babies don't understand it at all. And even once they get older, they're not going to have much patience for staying on the same page once they understand what the picture is of. Karen Oppenheim, one of the authors of Read It, Play It, also recommends that you pick books that you like to read. Your baby will catch on when you're enthusiastic, and they'll learn to love the book too. Once you pick the right book, pick a time that makes your baby happy. Pamela Kramer, in the October 2004 issue of Parents Magazine, reminds us that reading time is really about cuddle time. This is great for people like dads who may not get to see their children very much during the day, but want to have an opportunity to bond with them. So if you're going to be bonding, you need to make sure that your baby is in a good mood. This means not trying to read a story when your baby's really hungry or wants a diaper change. If your baby's tired, you need to use your best judgment. Excuse me. If your baby's too tired, they won't want to read. However, a mildly tired baby might enjoy the cuddle time. Reading can be a wonderful thing to add into your bedtime routine to help your baby calm down at the end of a day. However, like I said, if they're too tired, they won't want to read. My daughter, when she was about 6 months old, started closing books and pushing them away if we were trying to read, and she really wanted to go to sleep. The author Minja Lee recommended in an article for Working Mom magazine that you look for a pattern in your baby. Most babies will have a time when they really enjoy reading. It might be right after they wake up from their nap, or right after their dinner, or just before they go to bed. Once you find a time that works for your baby, it'll be easier to always have a happy baby when you're reading. On a side note, just because it's a happy time for your baby doesn't mean they will always be happy. For instance, when my daughter was about 7 months old, there was one book that every time I put it in front of her, she cried and screamed and pushed it away. And eventually I figured out it was because she didn't like the book. If I replaced it with a different book, she was more than happy to continue reading. So once you have a good book and a happy baby, how do you pick a way to read that helps your child stay interested? The words are not actually that important. What's important is the bonding and listening to your voice. Marilyn Siegel, PhD and Dean Emeritus for the Institute of Early Childhood Studies at Nova Southeastern University, said, When you read aloud to your baby, you're teaching her to recognize that different sounds have different meanings, and that's the foundation to speech and comprehension. So as you repeat things, they start to realize that what you're saying is associated with what they're feeling or what they're seeing. For instance, in the book that has textures in it, you'll want to help her feel the textures as you say them. So you'll move her hand or demonstrate for her so she can feel it and say things like bumpy or soft or fuzzy, and she will eventually learn to associate those words with what her hand is feeling. To help her do that, remember to repeat the words and say them slowly. So, for instance, if she's feeling a soft fur on a bear, you'll touch it and say, fuzzy. Do you feel the soft, fuzzy fur? It's fuzzy. And things like that. Make sure to vary the tone of your voice. Nobody likes listening to a monotone, and as we mentioned, it's the inflection that really catches your baby's attention. So, instead of just reading a book of pictures saying bear, lion, ostrich, or whatever, you say something more like bear, ooh, lion, and ostrich. That's an ostrich. Things like that will help catch your baby's attention more. Also, to keep their attention, don't read the book the same way every time. Remember, they don't understand a plot, so change it up. Tell a different story, or if it's just a book of pictures, tell a story about each picture. For instance, if you have a picture of a stuffed lion, you might say, oh, a lion. We have a lion like that, huh? Or the next time, something like, fuzzy, do you see the soft lion? Doesn't he look so cuddly? Next time you might say more like, ooh, lions. Lions say roar really loud. Can you say roar? And they probably won't repeat it, but they'll enjoy listening to you. So I hope this kind of helps you get excited. I love reading to my little girl. It doesn't necessarily make them geniuses, but it does help them enjoy books and helps them bond with you. So remember to pick the right book, pick a time that works for your baby, and pick a way to read that helps them stay interested. Give it a try. Try it on your nieces or nephews or on your own children if you have them. I know when you do, you'll really enjoy the time you get to spend together, and you'll really enjoy watching your baby learn.